We'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just say, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, this is so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like he got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, hey, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Rich McCann, and still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then can I make it do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers at wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go. Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Welcome back into another episode of the Buccateers. We're one away from our 300th program. We've actually had a little bit more, but in terms of numbering and counting, it'll be 300 come the next show. Tampa Tones alongside the great Bucs by 30, the great J-Lo here on the Buccateers on a Tune Me Up Tuesday with Jay Roman in the house saying, what up, Buccateers family? What up, Jay Roman? Happy Victory Tuesday and Tune Me Up Tuesday. Christopher Cole. Hey, fellas. How the hell you doing, CC? The great Trisha Scott. We love her lady. She's in the house. Good evening, guys. Good evening, Trisha. How the hell you doing? Thanks for joining per usual. We love our lady listeners. And the great B-Shuck, Brian in the house saying, what's up, kids? I'm doing great. I watched a replay last night. I was out of town this weekend with minimal access to any real-life cable. So I'm back, and I watched a game last night, and it was incredible. A lot of great things about the game. Zach, how the hell you doing? First and foremost, great game this past weekend. And secondly, you're getting geared up for a big week of football, brother. What say you?
Absolutely. Getting ready to go to the Bucs Steelers joint practice, and then got tickets for the game on Saturday. So it's going to be a good Bucs weekend.
Yeah, and you got some significance on the other side there as well with the great Zach Frazier going down to battle in the trenches. So that's about as good as it gets for you right there, brother. Nephew against favorite team. So that's awesome stuff. I can't wait to see the pictures and stuff. And we're going to talk about your camp experience today again a little bit. We haven't really got into that. So looking forward to that as well. And J-Lo, you must have had a good experience. You were at the first, although preseason, Bucs win of the year.
No, man, the environment was nice, man. I enjoyed every minute of it. I left work early, so I was able to attend to it. You know, the vibe, just seeing Buccaneer football live in general, whether it's preseason or not. You know, I was very impressed with the team, so it was fun.
Very, very good stuff there. Glad you had a good time. I actually went to Bucs Titans in preseason in 2021, and that was my first preseason game at Ray J. Hot as hell there, but great time. First time with Brady and Gronk. We're joined by Olivia. Hey, friends, how the hell you doing? We love the ladies. Bat saying sup, guys. Sup, Bat. How you doing? My guy, Bob, man. Let's go. Let's go indeed. Yeah, Frazier Barton. That'll be a fun little tussle for a while. But, Zach, I'm glad you kind of put that to bed at training camp, it seemed. What say you on that?
Yeah, we buried the hatchet. We were beefing, unbeknownst to Graham Barton, but yeah, it was cool to get to meet him. I told him that phrase, Zach was my nephew, and they know each other a little bit, so we kind of talked about that a little bit. So yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah, they're draft brothers via the same position. I feel like that has to hold, a special little bond in you, but a little competitive edge at the same time, right? You want to outdo one another, but at the same time, it's like, all right, that was my brother right there. Both centers that got drafted, cool stuff right there. So what other cool things happened in camp when you went, brother? It looked like a great time. Looked like a lot of good fan interaction with the players.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff that happened. The first day I was there as a guest of Brian Ford, and I got a chance to talk to him a little bit and thank him for that opportunity, and just enjoy camp the first day, and chop it up with Stephen Shea a little bit. Jerry Keith was there. So I got to have some football talk with those fellas, and then I got a chance to see Jason. He signed something for me. We were kind of conversing over the fence, and he was like, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And I was like, well, I don't have tickets for tomorrow. And he's like, well, hold on, let me see what I can do. And then he hooked me up with tickets for Saturday's morning. So you couldn't beat it, man. You couldn't beat it with a stick. So it was a great time. It was a good experience. Met some cool people, and looking forward to Thursday with the Bucs Steelers. I don't know how that one's going to be. It's going to be at the stadium, so it's going to be a little different. So
that'll be cool to just be there at the practice. So Abraham joined, Cleveland joining. Abraham saying my underrated UDFA showed out. Nick Jackson and Shiloh Sanders. Yeah, they both had good games. Shiloh had hit or miss, mainly hit for Shiloh, but he had a lot of big play potential, as did Nick Jackson. We're going to talk about the game here shortly, but Zach, we'll dig more into the practice. That'll be really cool, just seeing, that's a different experience, seeing two teams practicing at once. I feel like that's a rare occasion to get a ticket to, and that's cool. Jason Light, Brian Ford, that's some good company, right? I'd keep those guys close, and that comes with some good perks, it seems.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, the joint's going to be a lot different. Both the days I was there, Baker didn't practice, so we only had the two QBs, and then the second day was more like a walkthrough. So this will probably have a little bit of a different intensity to it. So looking forward to that.
And you'll probably get some Teddy Bridgewater action as well, which will be interesting to see, which you didn't get before. So this Bucs team is up in arms. We did release a veteran QB today. We'll get to that shortly. The Buccaneers, I should say, waived on injury designation, but all the verbiage, this, that, tomato, all relatively the same. J-Lo, thoughts on Zach headed to join practice or his training camp visit before we get to some good talk here on Bucs Titans? The Bucs did bash the Titans.
No, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a real treat for Zach, seeing two teams going out in practice. Hopefully, no fight brawls happen, like last joint practice. But definitely it should be a fun experience, different vibe over in Pittsburgh at their football stadium, around the fans. Hopefully you'll catch some of the players' eye, that sees you. You never know. They might fight you on the field. You never know. But like I said, well deserved, man. It'll be fun. I got to see it last week. You can see it this week.
The great Jono Mappa is viewing right now live from the Disney Cruise Line in the middle of Europe. He works over there. He's tuned in right now. That's pretty damn cool of him. It's about 1 a.m. over there. I believe they're in Italy or Greece, somewhere crazy. But thanks for tuning in, Mappa. That'd be epic if we had a little crowd going on the Disney Fantasy Cruise Ship right now. Shout out to all you guys. You guys just earned #1 awards in another magazine. So kudos to my friends working aboard over there. Speaking of Zach, a Saints fan. Oh, no. That cave is not a cover up. But
Wow.
I will yeah, Zach, what say you on that?
That might be the most hurtful thing anybody's ever said to me. Wow. And I've been married for 21 years, and that's wow.
Those are fighting words.
That is like this would be the most expensive cover up in the history of cover ups right here.
Pretty funny. B-Shuck, I really wanted Zach's nephew, but now we're talking about Zach's cave. Could you imagine the wildness in that cave if somehow Frazier was a Buck? You'd have like every type of Frazier piece of memorabilia in there.
I just kept thinking, what if we take him in the second and we have Frazier at center and Barton at left guard? Like that offensive line would have been historic for years, right? So we still turned out pretty good, but we would have been younger at left guard.
And you know what the Bucs do, though? They like a guy, they put their notes away on him, and if the opportunity comes down the road to bring him in, they might just do that. So I would not rule out a potential Zach Frazier, but the Steelers also are very good at keeping their good players around too. So that'll be a lot of fun this weekend. We're going to talk about that bloodline bash. We'll call it the Battle of the Bloodline for Zach over there in Pittsburgh this week. Speaking of this week, this past week, we did beat up on the Tennessee Titans. A lot of impressive stuff to me, fellas, and we're going to get into the teeth of things here. Rachaad White injury aside, a lot of good things from this game. First and foremost, you really have to be happy about the Buccaneers barely playing any starters. I mean, Sirachi, Dennis, and Ibuka. Ibuka's going to start because Godwin's injury. So you could technically say a couple started here and there, but for the most part, it was heavy doses of backups for the Bucs, and it was pretty much all the Titans starters. And the Bucs just dominated both sides of the ball. Their backups dominated the Titans starters. And I know the Titans are just getting new to things with Cam Ward, and he showed some flashes. But Zach, we'll start with you here first. I was impressed with Trask. I was impressed with the receivers like Green, like Ryan Miller, who made some plays. I was impressed with the running back room. I thought Sean Tucker ran really well when he was given the opportunity to do so. I hope we don't see much more of him throughout the preseason, but that's another topic to discuss. I thought Devin Colt played fantastic when his name got called. You had Tyreek Funderburk and Nick Jackson getting some turnovers. You had some good play from some good backups. I don't even know if you consider him a backup at this point, but a guy like Parrish played some really good snaps, Zach. So Chase McLaughlin picking up where he left off, making a lot of kicks. It was just a good game all around. And I'll even tell you this, beyond the Buccaneers, I think it was good in the sense that a couple of these new rules being integrated on the football field, we saw the refs do some quick reviews, they called it. For example, Green on a punt return got a face mask, and they didn't call it at first, ended up calling it a face mask. I was just happy with week one top to bottom, Zach, between the Bucs and officiating.
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice to see that review and that call go in our favor. It would have came in handy last year against Atlanta on that Bucky fumble. And a couple other times, would have came in handy. So yeah, that's good to see. As far as the play on the field, I think Trask put to bed a lot of those. Is he QB2? Is Bridgewater taking that job? Right. He stood in the pocket. He took a lot of hits. He delivered the ball a couple times. Kind of held it just a smidge too long, you could say. But I thought he looked good. I thought the offense as a whole looked really good. We had a lot of depth at offensive line that was playing a lot of different positions on the line, and you really couldn't tell that they were out of position. So that was promising. That looked good. Special teams looked good. We had Garrett on that punt return looked good. He looked decisive, which is nice from a rookie punt returner. Riley Dixon looked good on his punts. The only snafu we had was the backup kicker missed an extra point, but he's no longer with the team now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought all in all, depth across the board looked really good. I think somebody else had mentioned if there's a deficiency, it could possibly be interior defensive line, depending on how that shakes out. But yeah, it was promising. Typically we get into this time of the year and the Bucs depth can't hold a lead or pull away from a team in preseason when it's our backups versus their backups. But our backups look decisively better than Tennessee's.
Yeah, decisively better for sure. And even again, I think our backups outdid a lot of their starters in the game. But I think you made some good points. Yeah, we're gonna get to the Bucs releases today. But if you're vying for even the practice squad, first and foremost, Chase McLaughlin was probably one of the hardest to unseat battle-wise on the roster, right? If you're gonna come in and pick a position on this Bucs team that was in jeopardy, Chase McLaughlin was probably bottom 5 on the entirety of the roster to go. So he had an uphill battle from there. But if you're missing your kicks, especially extra points, that's just not a good thing. So that's a good point, Zach. That was probably one of the only down spots. I'll put it like that. A lot of other good things and a lot of things to build on for this Bucs team. Same here. VB, I got my Buca white creamsicle jersey. I wore it a couple weeks back on the pod. So we can match, my friend. That's a very good thing there. J-Lo, thoughts on the game? Do you agree with Zach? A lot of good things to be had and a lot of not a lot of bad things happen on that football field for the Bucs.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, for the most part, a lot of the undrafted rookies and some of our regular rookies, balled out. Parrish was like lights out. He made some good couple plays. Also, J.J. Roberts was in there getting some plays, And I got to admit, man, I wish Booker would have pulled that one-hander toward the end zone. That would have been sick. I was like, oh, man. But that just gets you more excited how good this guy can really be on the field. Like, he's pro-ready. I liked what I saw of Kyle Trask. Trask looked really good, quality backup. Fancy to get off his back, At the end of the day, he knows the system. I have trust in him. But we'll say it's going to be a lot of hard decisions.
We're getting Trask to Brady comps now.
Oh, snap. I mean, I'll take it, but right now we're going to go with Baker and play the safe part and just hopefully he doesn't go down and puts that pressure on Trask for the most part. I feel like Teddy Bridgewater's a good vet. Hopefully we'll see him this weekend. But overall, the team played well. Overall, played really well, ran the ball well. And one more shout out to the offensive line. They played extremely well, except for the Elijah Klein, high snap. That was a little honest mistake, but hey, he recovered and played.
And that happened too, right?
Yeah.
He's who's learning how to become the backup center. Let's be honest, nothing against Hainsey and Jensen, but we've even seen those guys botch snaps. Graham Barton, remember the snap infraction penalty that cost us last season in the playoffs. And I love all those guys, Hainsey, Jensen, Barton, nothing against him, but kind of just to my point, bad snaps kind of do happen. We're going to talk about Pratt in a little bit here, CC, in the other releases today, as the Bucs did release a rookie, veteran QB. But my thoughts from the game before we pick our players of the game here from last week quick. Once again, Tyreek Funderburk, who had a huge preseason last year, continued his good preseason play, and that's how he earned his way onto the roster last year as a UDFA. He had some nice plays, including a fourth quarter ice sealing interception. Was in the right place at the right time, but those count in the stat sheet. And I'm looking forward to seeing if Funderburk could fight. It's a crowded secondary, so he's going to have to continue fighting his ass off, but good to see Funderburk making some plays. The third down call, I miss that, man. Football season's back when you hear it's third down and the stadium gets up and rocking. Was a big fan of that. Felt good. Once again, Connor Bazelak and Garrett Green, I thought they had a pretty good connection. I think Bazelak obviously will be QB4 at this point, probably. He'll be the practice squad guy at this point, which I think is a good spot for him. You learn behind a couple of fellas, right? You learn behind Teddy Bridgewater, Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield. Pretty good room to learn behind. But I thought Bazelak looked good on some throws, especially to Garrett Green as our guy Metz is in the house. Yo, the fantasy champ is here. The knockoff champ, we'll put it like that. I thought Chris Myers and Rondé Barber did a fantastic job once again announcing that football game. They're always their preseason crew of late. I think they had another strong showing yesterday. I would love if Myers and Barber somehow became the full-time TV broadcast for the Bucs during the regular season. Sadly, doesn't work like that. But once again, Devin Culp, I think by the time the year is done, I think Culp could be one of the most up-and-coming Bucs on this team. I really do. He gets open. When he's on that football field, he gets open. He catches a ball when it's thrown to him, and his size is something to watch. He's really a size mismatch for a lot. As I mentioned earlier, replay was huge. That assist was huge. One bad miss to me, and it resulted in a Titan score. Josh Hayes had his hands on a football to intercept it. And again, that's something the Bucs have struggled with these past couple of years, is not bringing in interceptions. Josh Hayes had his hands on the ball. I will give him a little credit. Wasn't the easiest of picks, but still one you got to bring in. Titans eventually ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. If you want momentum-changing plays to affect football games, you got to cause turnovers in that sort of situation. So once again, I thought Tucker ran well. Trask played well. Ryan Miller played really well. Chase McLaughlin once again played well. And one more little down arrow. It was only the first return of the game. He had one okay catch, but Rakim Jarrett, he looked like he was cold feet out there. He fake kneed the ball, ran out, got to the 18-yard line. With the way they hand you the football on touchbacks nowadays, they give you such generous field position. You really cannot be risking it these days. I understand back in the day, right? When you get the ball at the 20, hey, if I get the ball at the 15 or 18, it's not a big deal. But fact of the matter is nowadays you get a 25, 30, 35 based on what the hell happens with the football. You almost have to be smarter than that. And, that's a big difference. But Zach, player of the game for you, brother. If you could only give the award to one of the gentlemen on the Bucs, what say you?
Man, that's tough. There's a couple of guys. There's a couple of easy ones as well.
There are some easier ones, but a lot of good play.
Yeah, there was. And I think this preseason's about an unexpected guy making the roster. That underdog story. So I think I would give it to Nick Jackson. I like what I saw from him. I thought, you want to make splash plays to get your name noticed, and I think he did just that. He really took advantage of the spots that he had. So that's who I would go with.
And you made a funny in our group chat the other day. Yeah, newsflash, Buccateers is a group chat, but when you compared it to the Young Bucks from AEW, I'm like, man, that's a good one because yes, they do share names. So, and we haven't been live yet, but the Bucs have signed Jace McClellan as well, running back, former Falcons 6th-round pick, just a camp body in my opinion. Nothing to talk about too much here, but Zach, brief thoughts on bringing in a guy like McClellan. I think he's camp meat. What say you?
Yeah. I mean, with Rashad going down, they need somebody to, help distribute that workload. So I just think that he'll be there to, kind of just give the other guys a little bit of less touches. So.
Yeah, he never really got going in Atlanta, and I don't really expect to see him get going here. But hey, if he wants to be on the practice squad, at least it's a guy with experience, couple of games played. We'll see. CC said if Hayes catches that, the Titans would have been shut out pretty damn much. Damn much. Zach,
I will say this, though,
you're getting called in at running back.
Oh man, nobody wants that. I'm too old and slow for running back. I will say though, at least Hayes was in position, so that's progression, right? Last year, that ball would have been way over his head and it would have been a touchdown. So at least he was in position. He didn't catch it. He didn't shift the momentum, but baby steps. He's not a Pro Bowler. You know what I mean?
And like you said, he was in position, and as I said earlier, at least it wasn't the easiest to pick, so I will give him that. It should have been picked, but it wasn't like a gimme pick. So like you said, though, Zach, in position, and yes, as you alluded to, not like he's a Pro Bowler. He has garnered an All-Pro vote at special teams, but he's not really a defensive back. So we're getting calls for Zach at running back. Maybe J-Lo will be next. But J-Lo, thoughts on your player of the game for Bucs Titans, and what say you on bringing in a running back like McClellan from the division foes Atlanta? Maybe he could spill some guts on their playbook as well.
Where it certainly won't be J-Lo. J-Lo don't play football for a long time. I'm good. I'll just watch. But
You're gonna be like Doug Heffernan from The King of Queens when he tries to make his football comeback that one episode, and it's like he's just getting bashed out there. I love that, but keep going. Sorry, brother.
no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, McLean's just a camp body, because we've been having some banged up, players in the running back room. But my player of the game, I'll say Scotty Miller. He played his ass off.
You mean Ryan Miller?
Naughty Miller, right? That's what
I know,
the Twitter sphere calls him.
Thank you. I don't know where I got that from.
Shout out our guy. He follows me. We're still working to get him on the show. So he said he'd come on. We're still trying to get him on. We'll see. He's hard at work right now.
Exactly. He's in the zone, but he played his ass off. He made plays like he wants to make this roster, and I think if it keeps up, he probably will, or not at least practice squad at best. But he's player of the game. He made it fun to watch. I will say that hopefully we'll see Josh Williams carry the load some more in the next preseason game. He's back at practice, so that I will say. McLean will probably come in the fourth quarter to kind of finish up. You don't want to get Sean Tucker injured either.
Yeah, you don't really want to get Sean Tucker injured either. And I think, like I said, I think it's a camp body signing, can't meet, but it's a good signing. He could make the practice squad. You never know. A couple more injuries happen. You never know. Football's a game full of injuries. It sucks to say it like that, but it truly is. Looking around, you had Trask go 12 of 16 for 129. You had Baszler go 6 of 9 for 48. Obviously, Wright had a hell of a game running the football. As Christian said, Wright was his player of the game. He had 18 carries for 87 yards. That averages 4.8 yards a clip and a tutty. He had a big preseason last year as well. Sadly, didn't equate to much, but now he has a chance with the Bucs. Again, I thought Tucker ran better than his stat line indicated. He had some good running there, 13 for 50 and a tutty. Rashad White was running well before he got hurt. Even Trask had a couple of flash and dash. So good thing on offense. If I have to go with the player of the game, though, just one, you already named Miller, so I'm obviously not going to name him. A couple other guys were mentioned. Wright was mentioned in the chat. Jackson was mentioned in the chat. It's tough. I'm going to go with, even though, again, he was in, I'm going to go with Riley Dixon, only because punting is a breath of fresh air for this Buccaneers football team. I thought he did a tremendous job punting. Remember last year, Bucs fans, we went through 3 punters last year. We went through Camarda, Gill, Browning. It wasn't an easy roto. It was a revolving door, and it really never got easier. As B-Shuck is too kind to us. Our guy does it again. Thank you so much, B-Shuck, for the super chat. We'll drop some music to that. But Zach, another day, another B-Shuck generous donation here for the program.
That's just the guy that he is, man. I don't know that there's a nicer person on this planet than Brian.
Let me try and think. No, probably not. Probably not. I met him once, and he was an awesome meet. And you guys were all cool guys at that Arians Family Foundation. So that was a really great day. Still one of my favorite. Not, being a Bucs fan, getting that type of experience is awesome. Still one of my favorite Bucs fans and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Chase McLaughlin or Riley Dixon. I'm sorry. Honorary mention Chase McLaughlin. My pop sent me an article today that the Bucs. Let me get the name of the article, but the article was right, pretty much saying how for the first time in a while the Bucs have both special team positions in such a good spot, and how nice that is. Because even if you remember, Pinion wasn't that great during our Super Bowl tenure. He wasn't terrible, but it's not like he was the top of the end. So TampaBay.com wrote, Bucs are breathing easier with Riley Dixon joining Chase McLaughlin. Ain't that the damn truth? That's an article written if the paywall gets by Rick Stroud. So that's good stuff on TampaBay.com. But yeah, between McLaughlin and Dixon, I think our special teams is in for a damn treat this year, to say the least. Real quick, as we turn the page here on Bucs Titans talk, Pop says, love that we got a punter. I even got some love on today's show. Of course. Yeah, you always get shouted out. So yeah, keep texting in and that's what'll happen. No, I'm just kidding. But good stuff there. Fellas, whose stock rose and whose stock dropped? And not like key players, but I'm talking about roster fringe guys, Rakim Jarrett's, Ryan Miller's, Garrett Green's of the world. Whose stock rose? Whose stock dropped? Zach, you could only pick one, rose or dropped, but who was the biggest impacted guy from preseason week 1 in your opinion?
Oh man, I'm gonna take the pick that's probably gonna steal your pick. With that wide receiver room as competitive as it's gonna be, I'm gonna have to say Raheem Jarrett stock dropped.
I think I was gonna pick that, but hey, I'll pivot. But you're right though, Zach. And nothing against Rakim Jarrett, but he's in an uphill battle. There's a lot of competition. I mean, Trey Palmer's as good as gone, is my opinion. We had a fun debate about him, and we'll get into him a little bit. But to me, he's already as good as gone. You still got Sterling Shepard, Ryan Miller. You got so many guys vying for just a limited amount of spots. Tez Johnson didn't
We haven't
even
even
play
seen
last
Tez
year.
or
Yeah.
Cam yet, so
Exactly. He was one off injured last year. Cam, looking forward to see what he could do maybe. So going to be crazy, but I like that biggest stock drop to Zach Rakim Jarrett. And it's a sad reality. When you're earning those roster spots, you got to earn your way on by special teams, and you got to show out. And he did not do that. He did the opposite. So that's surely going to hurt his stock. J-Lo, you could only pick one. Stock rose or stock dropped on the following, say, blank.
I gotta go with Jacob Harris with his stock rising. So far, I think
I'm talking roster battle type guys, though. I know he had a great game, and I agree. But he's not really a fringe guy, like whose stock rose and whose stock dropped. That might be a fringe roster guy. I like that though with Parrish. That's a good mention because he had a great game.
I'll have to say Devin Colt then. We're going to talk about that because Devin Colt made some plays. I feel like he's working hard to see more playing time than Payne Durham. But it's the first preseason game. But I think Devin Colt is rising to where he went from, 7th round to possibly on the out to end last year to now be possible tight end number 2 if he keeps it up.
So I like that. Parrish and Culp right there from J-Lo. Christopher saying Braswell dropped. Yeah, I think he did. I don't think he's in jeopardy of a roster spot by any means, but I think he's in jeopardy of where he's positioned on the roster. I don't think it's guaranteed that he's going to get a ton of snaps if he doesn't look a little bit promising. So that could be an interesting one. Christian saying Trask rose. Yeah, because remember when we signed Bridgewater, all of a sudden you heard, is Trask going to be QB3? A lot of Pratt talk ended up. And then Rakim Jarrett, he's saying he didn't ever have stock. Whoa. Hey, I didn't say that. Just remember that.
He did make one big catch during the game. I think it was that third quarter. I mean, I'm not going to knock him too hard, but yeah.
He had one big catch last year at some point, but the wide receiver 5'6" is going to be such a battle, man. You have to really maximize your preseason. And I think that that special teams kerfuffle to start it off, man, that's just not a good look when you're trying. Like Tone said, you got to special teams is how that wide receiver 5'6" is going to make this team.
Exactly right, Zach, and we've seen it. You could be a better wide receiver. That's why Tyler Johnson fell victim here that one season. He was a decent wide receiver, but if you're not available to play special teams at a decent rate, that's just how those things go, because you have 4 or 5 receivers who are mainly going to see the field, barring injuries. You're not really going to necessarily need wide receiver 5 or 6 more than 3 to 5 offensive snaps, barring injuries or blowouts. So you're really expecting them to make a difference when their number's called, right? Like Scotty Miller, that Super Bowl year, he was a little more involved, but he'd get a handful of snaps. But when his number was called, he made it count. He made his, just like Trey Palmer a couple of years ago when he was effective rookie, he made his plays count. That's how you make this team. Trey Palmer, to me, shot himself in the foot. I'm going to go with him as biggest stock drop. I think he's already out the door, but now you're injured. Last year you had the punt return job gifted to you, hand wrapped to you, gifted to you, unchallenged, unattended. You were hard to watch back there, very hard to watch. And then offensively, you did very little to none. You didn't really do anything last year. To me, he blew it. He blew it last year, and now he's even blowing it more so. I don't know if the Bucs maybe don't want to play him because they're trying to trade him, maybe. But to me, you put him on display. Maybe he has a good game and you trade him. Like, to me, the Browns are going to trade Shedeur Sanders. I think he was put out there to start the other week because they're going to trade him. That's just a gut feeling I have, because I just don't – you can't keep all those quarterbacks they have. And you're not going to release Joe Flacco. You're not going to release a guy you trade for, Pickett, one of the rookies. But that's a different subject. But to me, the Bucs do that with Trey Palmer maybe. Hey, get your ass out there the next couple of weeks, make some plays, and maybe we'll trade you. So I'm going, hey, no, Cubs knock and talk here. I know we've been struggling, but that's more so because frickin' Milwaukee ain't losing, okay? So we'll blame the Brewers. But I'm going with Trey Palmer. J-Lo's going with Parrish. And who else did you go with, J-Lo? I'm sorry.
Devin Culp.
Devin Culp, that's right. And then Zach going with Jackson. You went with Jackson, right, Zach?
Jarrett.
Yeah, but then somebody commented Jackson, I believe, and then somebody commented Wright, I believe, and somebody commented Trask, I believe. So a lot of different multiple. That's how good the Bucs played. You know, a lot of good choices there. Zach, wrap us up on Bucs Titans talk before we move on, brother.
Yeah, I just got a little I want to say on Chris Braswell. I think the guy's getting a little bit of unfair criticism. I know he's a second round pick, and I think that's why he's getting all this criticism, is because he was a second round pick. But he wasn't like a full-time starter at Alabama most of his career. He was probably a 4 or 5 star guy that was behind 5 or 6 star guys, to be honest, at Alabama. He never left. He stayed there. We all know that story, to be part of the Alabama program. Last year, for whatever reason, they stayed with JTS and didn't give Braswell the snaps that he needed to develop, because he didn't get a heavy workload in college. So he's still like trying to catch up and get used to the NFL speed, especially as a pass rusher, right? Like, it's not easy to come into the league and be a pass rusher. So, everybody just needs to be a little bit more patient with the guy. I think he's going to be a lot better than people are bashing him for right now. Just going to take a little bit for him to get acclimated, right? Maybe the Walker injury is a blessing in disguise, because it's going to give him that more time on the field to develop, right? But I think he gets that second round pick on him, and everybody's expecting 6-8 sacks, and I just don't know that we'll see that this year, but maybe next year or the year after.
Yeah, and I think you make a couple of good points. Again, Braswell, yes, although he was a second-round pick, yep, Chuck Wuma's stock is rising. Yeah, it's been rising since rookie camp, one of the higher-paid UDFAs, him and Majors battling out for offensive line depth spots. I think that's a good one. But I think you're right, Zach. Braswell, yeah, second round might have been overdrafted a tad, but his potential's there. I think his ceiling could be hit, and pass rushers aren't just developing overnight. It takes a lot of him time. It takes a lot of him a couple of years to develop into the pass rusher you really can be. Look at Shaq Barrett. He didn't blossom right away in Denver. He came to Tampa. Boom. He eventually bloomed onto the scene. So you're not always going to come out of the gate right away quick. And even Logan Hall, I mean, look at his slow improvement year after year, right? He's been improving. Year one, it was last year I thought he played pretty damn well. So I think Braswell, keep going, Zach.
I was just gonna say, and it's his second coach, right? Second voice that he's hearing, with probably different tips and technique critique. So it's that all factors in, all right. So just because he was a second round pick, give him a minute, right?
Agreed, totally. Give him a minute for sure. And again, I just think, for those writing him off, hold your roll. If he is a totally unproductive, he just has to show signs of life of improvement this year. If he shows any signs of improvement, I think that's a really good thing to be had. So very happy if he could do that. So J-Lo, thoughts, wrap up Bucs Titans. What say you?
Overall, great performance. I was very impressed. Glad I didn't get rained on as well. Okay, it was rain before the game, so I was very blessed for that. Not that I took an early shower during the game, but overall, I was very impressed. Looking forward to next week's practice. Shout out to Owen Wright. He balled out. I mean, he got robbed of a couple touchdowns. It is what it is, but he made up for the third one, the charm. our friend of the show, Tyree Thunderbird. Shout out to him getting a pick. Shout out to him. I mean, we had turnovers. That's what we were looking for. That's another thing I was very impressed with. I think we had 3 interceptions, I think. Yeah, 3. So, I was very impressed with this. So, shout out to the team itself and all these young bucks trying to, meet the roster.
No pun intended, young bucks trying to make a young bucks roster. And the young bucks from AEW are watching the young bucks try to make the young bucks roster. No, now I'm just probably confusing people. But we're live here on the Buccateers podcast on a Tune Me Up Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, living the good life. And we have some great upcoming shows. If you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like button, turn the notification bell on. You'll never miss an episode. And please subscribe. We do appreciate super chats and memberships as well. If you want to explore that, B Shuck with the great super chat tonight, which is very much appreciated on his behalf. So subscribe on YouTube, hit the like button, turn that notification bell on as well. Christopher says typically takes about 3 years to develop for any player unless you're elite. Yeah, it's not an easy game to adapt to. Tight ends, wide receivers, you name it. Unless you're elite, it takes a while. But our upcoming Buccateers schedule, obviously live tonight for a good bit longer. We'll be back this Saturday about 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for a Saturday showdown live edition. Next Tuesday, loaded power hour. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5. 5 of our favorite Tampa local media will be joining the program next Tuesday. River Wells from Bucs SI Gameday helps cover the Bucs for Sports Illustrated. Will be joining the program at 6 o'clock Eastern. The great, legendary Rock Riley, currently on WDAE, the Rock Stops Here podcast. He'll be joining us at 6:15 Eastern. Adam Silvan from the great Pewter Report doing his great coverage will be joining the show at 6:30 Eastern. One of my favorite in the business, a great guy on radio, Aaron Jacobson from the Pat and Aaron Morning Show on WDAE will be joining the program at 6:45 Eastern. And then we just had to give you a little bit of dessert. The great Chris Mathis, the up-and-coming star in the Tampa area radio airwaves, will be joining the program at 7:05 Eastern. I think, not knocking Rock's age, but outside of Rock, that's the most youthful reporting roundup you could really have. And they all do a great job between Slivan, Mathis, Jacobson. I mean, River Wells, these guys bring the heat. So, Zach, next Tuesday, going to be buckle up, game on, ready to roll, brother.
Yeah, you might want to make sure you already have eaten dinner by the time you watch this show, because you're going to be exhausted when it's over and be ready for bed.
Going to be ready for bed, going to be dreaming of Bucs talk, going to be like, holy shit, that was incredible. Our last one was incredible with Scott Reynolds, Pat Donovan, Peter Blake, and Casey Warner. That was a great one. If you missed that, go check out the replay. It was a couple shows ago. But J-Lo, thoughts on the upcoming show on Tuesday? The Power Hour with 5 of us will be incredible.
All gas, no brakes, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to chop it up with some other useful reporters. And plus, OG Rock Riley, he always brings the heat too, brings it all in. It's going to be a fun time, folks. So tune in on it, definitely.
Yeah, really, really tune in on that. Going to be incredible on the Buccateers. Maybe we'll do a giveaway or something along those lines. We'll see. But after Tuesday, next week, Wednesday, we're bumping up our Saturday showdown. Going to be an epic one Wednesday as well, because we have preseason football games we're going to be talking about. We have college football week 0 predictions on the horizon. So not only are we coming live this Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, not only are we doing an epic power hour Tuesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern, Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern is a special edition of the Saturday Showdown Week 0 college football kickoff show. Join us for that. Going to be exciting. I cannot wait for that. Going to be a lot of fun. And then Thursday, the debut of J-Lo's show, the college football short series, getting us ready weekly for college football games. It's going to be a crazy, crazy week next week. Buckle up, be bricked up, be excited. We can't wait to be joining you guys on the rides next week. Every episode's going to be insane. Speaking of insane, the Bucs gave Michael Pratt $250,000 guaranteed when they signed him this spring, and now they waived him with an injury designation, meaning, hey, we have to make other roster spots available for other players. They also released rookie Ryan Coe, the kicker, missed an extra point, so we released a veteran quarterback. We released a kicker, Zach Pratt. I think he'll re-sign and end up going on our IR and be out for the year. But what say you? Is this the last we've seen of Pratt? I think Coe is done here in Tampa. I think if he had any chance at the practice squad, they probably wouldn't have released him. But thoughts on the two releases today from the Bucs?
Yeah, I think Coe's done with the Bucs. But I do think Pratt will probably come back around on the IR. I feel like his injury is enough to where they had to make that move to bring Bridgewater in because he wasn't going to be able to contribute anytime soon. So he'll probably spin back around on the IR.
Yeah, and Greg Allman tweeted with QB Michael Pratt getting waived. Injured, Bucs will have to decide whether to reach an injury settlement or keep him on injured reserve, presuming he clears waivers for the entire season. If the latter, he signed a quote-unquote split contract, paying him a bit over half of his $960,000 base salary while on IR, would stay under contract for 2026. So I do think that'll be the route they go with Pratt because they don't need that young developmental quarterback. You have Baker Mayfield. You've been re-signing Kyle Trask. Even if he walks, Bridgewater to me is a one-and-done insurance policy because they think the Bucs could win the Super Bowl. So if Baker goes down, you want more than just Trask. And then you have Pratt or Baszler will probably be that quote-unquote understudy of the future. So to me, it can't hurt bringing Pratt back on the IR. But J-Lo, thoughts on the two releases today, Pratt and Ryan Coe?
Well, Ryan Coe, it was obvious he was not going to be replacing Chase McLaughlin. That was never going to happen. They just wanted to bring an extra leg in. Now he's gone. Michael Pratt, I think he'll go on injured reserve because clearly it's been an injury that's been nagging him since the offseason, work at the OTA. He couldn't even practice then. So to me, he'll come back in IR, and then he can just sit out pretty much another redshirt year and, and prepare for next season.
Yeah, so we'll have to remember that these roster spots needed to be made available for Jace McClellan, who we talked about earlier. He took one of those spots on the roster, and then Javion Farr we signed as well, a cornerback, to the other roster spot. They both worked out for the Bucs. Also working out for the Bucs, not getting roster spots, Cody Thompson, a familiar faces with the Bucs the past couple of years. No good news there for him. And then Marcus Roseme, Jack Saint, who played for Bryant McClendon at Georgia, but he didn't sign either. Oh, yeah, Josh. I think they trade 3 first-round picks, Baker Mayfield, Chase McLaughlin, and Kalijah Kancey for Jameis. I really do. I think that's going to be a big headline that we'll see soon. So
I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, that might not be. We might have to throw in Todd Bowles. We might have to throw in Jason Light and maybe $10 million. But to be honest, the Giants and Browns stockpile of QBs really need to be studied. The Giants make a little bit more sense. You bring in the veteran Russell to teach Jackson Dart, and then Tommy DeVito's a familiar face in the QB room. You're welcome, Josh. Thanks for the question. Next, we'll discuss Josh Freeman's return possibilities to the Buccaneers, and maybe Josh McCown as well. So there we go.
All right.
Evans last year, if he won a Super Bowl, it could be, but let's not even talk about that. I'm not ready to bring out the tissues today.
No,
so,
please
and
don't.
I don't think it's his last year. I'd give it a very slim possibility. Even if we win a Super Bowl and he is 1,000 yards, I'd still only put it about a 5% chance. But that's the only way I think he maybe would, and even then, it's slight, Zach, to me.
Yeah, I think we're going to at least see 13 for 13. Right. So if he gets 1,000 yards this year, I think it's almost a lock to come in and try to do 13 of 13.
Yeah, rumor has it that Josh Freeman's going to be playing in the Kansas State-Iowa game in Europe to begin the college football season. He's actually relegated to college football duties yet again. But J-Lo, thoughts quickly before we get to this week's Bucs action?
Well, I will say no Mike Evans retirement talk. It's not happening. Let's just get through the season first. I just want to put that to rest because I think none of us are ready to see that man walk away right now. I will probably cry my eyes out because we all love Evans. But anyway, I just want to put that to rest. Looking forward to more football coming up.
Yeah, Pops texting in Josh Freeman turned into Devin White. Yeah, they had fast fall offs, man. Devin White obviously getting knocked around a little bit by Jason Light today, deservingly so. The way he ended here, though, I will say thank you, Devin, for helping us win the ring. But after that, you fell off immensely, and maybe some of it's to be blamed on him. Speaking of blame, you can't blame Zach for wanting Zach Frazier on the Bucs, and it's Steelers Bucs week, and Zach's going to be in the front and middle of that practice round 2. I like years past. Sometimes we did 2 joint practices, but sometimes we only did 1. I like that we're doing 2 Titans and Steelers. Helps prep that much more. But Zach, what are you looking out for in joint practices this week? Bucs Steelers, you'll be there. What are you looking out for, my friend?
I'm looking out for how Charlie Heck does against that pass rush of Pittsburgh. So I think that's going to be something to watch. I did see Rodgers got his calf taped up today. I didn't read too much about it, so I don't know. If he's got like a kind of like a lingering injury, he may not play on Saturday. He didn't play last week, so and then just watching these receivers. I really think that's a good battle. So I'm looking forward to that. There will be 4 WVU guys on the field on Saturday, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that'll be really cool for you, especially. I know you'll be going for a Green Gamer if any would be ever made available, but that'll be really cool. WVU right in that neck of the woods as well. So fun stuff there, man. Going to be fun practicing going on, battling it out. Going to be a lot of fun stuff. You see a lot of good dirtiness in that practices. You see a lot of anger. You see a lot of intensity. Nita Frazier Barton one-on-one Highlander style. There can only be one. Zach, what say you?
Man, don't do that to me. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. That's not something I'm prepared to answer today. I'd have to meditate on that.
J-Lo, thoughts?
I mean, that's rough, man. He is throwing some hard ball right now. Zach. But no worries. I mean, like I said, Zach's gonna go out there with, to me, we're for Bo, we're for his nephew, and they were for the Bucs. I mean, that's fair. That's a pretty fair compromise.
And what are you looking out for this week in the practicing between Steelers and Bucs? On the Bucs side of the ball, are you looking out for more roster battles, or what are you looking out for when toe meets leather?
I would say in the trenches, man, because Pittsburgh's got a way better D-line than the Titans do. I feel that's going to be fun to see. The offensive line will get tested. Hopefully, like I said earlier, no brawls. And plus, the other way around, with us in the trenches, Zach Frazier's going to get a lot of heat from Vita Vea because Vita Vea is a monster at practice. You saw what he did at Graham Barton, so that'll be fun to watch. Graham Barton versus Zach Frazier one-on-one. He will bring the heat. That'll be fun to watch. So I see more in the trenches. See the Bucs run the ball successfully like they did in the first game, which once again, Pittsburgh's got a very better D-line and front edge rush than Tennessee does.
Yeah, and Josh, I think got hacked, Zach. I don't know about you, but we might have got a Josh hack attempt here about his last question. I think that's intended for you, brother, the name Mike Huncha.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't know if we should, why not?
That's from the movie, Mike Concho.
I know, I love it. Did you once spread your butt cheeks for Playgirl magazine under the name Mike Concho?
I did.
Oh man, that publication would go quickly out, bankrupt. Nobody needs that. Man, I feel like I wronged Josh in another life. He's just he's coming at me today.
Yeah, J-Lo, you're gonna be the ref, okay?
All right, that's fine by me. Let me go hold my beer.
Yeah, well, beer, I don't see one. You got one?
Oh, got in the fridge, but that's for later.
Hey, right now is just the time to be on the Buccateers, being OG, and that's what we are. J-Lo, Zach, Tampa Tones, and the rest of the commenters. We got Josh, Olivia, Trisha, so many more. And if you're looking forward to watching the game this week, it'll be 7 o'clock Eastern on Saturday night, August 16th. It's going to be rowdy, and ready to roll in Pittsburgh. Once again, Rondé and Chris Myers will be on the call for the Bucs on their local broadcast, with the great Eileen doing the sideline duties over there as well. Just a great team. But 7 o'clock Eastern Saturday night on your local airwaves, on your local channels. And if you're listening to it, Gene Deckeroff will be on the call on the radio, and Pat Donovan and Ronnie Night Train Lane on the pregame call on the radio. So a bunch of great stuff going on all around there. Speaking of great stuff, the Buccateers keep chugging. Once again, remember, next Tuesday, Adam Slavana Pewter Report, Chris Matheson, Aaron Jacobson, and Rock Riley of WDAE, and River Wells of SI Bucs Gameday ready to roll. We have the Rays on the West Coast still, the Cubs coming up against the Blue Jays, more preseason football coming up here. Let's see the schedule once this week before we get to the final word. We'll go over the schedule quickly for preseason, then we'll get to final words, outros, and so much more here on the Buccateers on this Tune Me Up Tuesday as we get ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll be a great week of joint practices. You know, Mike Tomlin's going to have his cats ready to roll. So Friday night, we got Tennessee and Atlanta at 6 o'clock, Kansas City and Seattle at 9 o'clock, Miami and Detroit Saturday at 1 o'clock, Green Bay and Indy, 1 o'clock Saturday. All these times are Eastern. Carolina and Houston, 1 o'clock. Cleveland, Philly, 1 o'clock. New England, Minnesota, 1 o'clock. 49ers, Raiders, 4 p.m. Eastern Saturday. Chargers, Rams, the Battle of L.A., 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Saturday. Bucs, Steelers, obviously, 7 o'clock Saturday. The Battle of New York, Jets, Giants, 7 o'clock Saturday. Baltimore, Dallas, 7 o'clock Saturday. 9:30 Arizona, Denver, Saturday night affair there. Jacksonville, New Orleans on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern. And then we get a little bit of Sunday night football action, Buffalo and Chicago. That'll be a little bit of fun. Then we get Monday night football action as we get Cincinnati and Washington as the preseason is really taking full force, full swing of things. Speaking of full swings, we're heading into the final words of the program. Zach, this Tune Me Up Tuesday, what say you for your final words for the show, brother? It's been a fun one before you head off to Bucs Steelers training camp battles out there.
Yeah, well, I think this will be a better depiction of how good our depth is. Pittsburgh's a whole lot better than Tennessee, so we'll get to see a more accurate picture of how that depth's going to play out. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Just want to see some good smash mouth, safe, injury-free football.
Love it. Injury-free, name of the game. Rashad White was the one big one to go down, but at least we have a couple other running backs capable, and at least he has some time to recover from that injury. We'll see if it happens for week 1. I'm hopeful, but Zach, you be safe out there. And yeah, you cheer on our Bucs to stay healthy and stay upright out there. Hopefully you get to meet a couple of OGs again out there, whether it's fans, players, whoever the hell it might be. Hopefully you have a great time, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it.
J-Lo, thoughts, final words, comments for Zach, the show, anything?
No, shout out to Zach. Have a great time. Enjoy. Hopefully you'll get some good, scrimmaging, one-on-ones. Hopefully you'll get a great experience. And supposedly, I think Coach Bowles said, depending on how practice goes with the joint practice, starters may play. So they do. Hopefully, it's only one driver too, and that's it. I don't want to see Bucky out there for a whole quarter.
I would imagine we see some starters for sure.
Yeah.
It's usually Bowles' MO where week 2 and week 3 in preseason, you see him a little bit, still not a lot, but usually a little bit. I would suspect to see a little bit of that for sure. Zach, you be safe. J-Lo, have a great time watching where you watch it from. Well, I'll see you Saturday on the program. We will be back Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for a Saturday Showdown. J-Lo, Joey, Nips, myself will be here. Hopefully others as well. Zach, you'll be out and about, so you enjoy Pittsburgh, brother. Hopefully send us some pics, and we'll get them up on the social medias, my friend.
Will do.
And remember, Tuesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern, a great power hour. Join us and find out who might be there, unless you watch earlier than you heard it. But if not, that's on you. Fire the damn cannons, go Bucks. Bucks by 30. J-Lo, Tampa Tones out of the building. On behalf of Cats, Gene, Stunna, Bucko, Joey, and the rest of the Buccateers family, we'll see you back Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, on our Saturday Showdown weekend of football kickoff. Fire the damn cannons. Let's go, Bucks. Bro, we'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
That was awesome.
it was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly,
Yes.
from there,
Yeah.
the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his
Yeah.
first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just say, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. It was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
And honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like he got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, hey, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Rich McCann, and still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make us do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers of wide receiver Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in